You're listening to episode number 6 of the Indie Film Tribe podcast with me, your host, Angela Matamocha. Welcome. There. Hi, good people. Angela Matamocha here of Indie Film Tribe. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm super excited to introduce this person to you. More than just a person, I must say. I have Don Wallace here with me today. He is an award winning filmmaker. He is also an actor and an award winning producer. And currently, and I didn't even know this about him, but he's got a
Mm,
lot of projects in the pipeline.
yeah.
Currently, he is producing Mecca, which is in pre production. He's also producing a film entitled Hustlin' Backwards, a great title, which is also in pre production, and Anathema. Did I say that right?
Anathema.
Oh,
Close.
Anathema. And he's also producing that. So, welcome, Don. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Angela. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being here. I, for one, am so inspired by you, and that's one of the reasons I wanted you here today, is
Oh,
because I
thank you.
think people can really learn from you and be inspired by you as well. If you
Right.
don't mind, I just want to start at the beginning and sort of get an idea of what it is that you love about being an actor and or a producer.
First and foremost, I would definitely lean towards acting because that is my passion, my true passion. I mean, I am just completely in love and always immersed in that work. I think the producing for me is a secondary thing because it creates that work and I get to do the work that I love, as an actor because in most cases I've produced things that I've been a part of some sort of ensemble cast or what have you. But I think the thing that I love mostly about producing is the initial uh, ball rolling situation is always a fun part of it to me. I think it's the same as getting some sort of party or arrangement started. It's really interesting, and I've always found that I've met the most interesting people and the most interesting challenges, which allow me to look at myself and then raise the bar, if you will, because it can be a challenging situation. But I come from a boxing background, so challenge is pretty much my middle name. So,
Yeah, that's interesting that you mention that because I could imagine as an athlete, the sort of discipline that it takes, the sort of
yeah,
willpower and focus that it takes is
yeah,
pretty much, I guess, the same in producing.
absolutely. I think as a producer, you have to, have a thick coat of skin. You got to have some resilience, and you have to understand how to turn a no into a yes in some sort of way. And that can it can challenge you and you're going to hear a lot of no's and you can turn all those no's into yeses to some degree. So I don't again like I said, I love the actual uh competition, I would say, about producing. There's a competitiveness about it, which yeah, and you're not competing with anyone but yourself, but you're just, for me at least, finding out how resilient and how resourceful I can be. It challenges me, and I think that's a good thing because I want to create a project that I can be a part of, right, and fulfill my passion as an actor. So that's always something that I think is pretty cool, pretty unique.
It seems like you also have a very interesting mindset about it. It's almost like it's a game to you. Just trying the
It kind of is. It's sort of.
I think
I
that's
mean, it
great.
really is. We I think as human beings that aspire to be something or someone or reach whatever level, we all want to win. And that's the bottom line. We want to win. And how we go about winning is, leads to whatever the end result is. But, I want to win. And if you want to win, you got to be as resourceful and as resilient and as thick-skinned as possible. And you learn along the way. I don't think there's a school for that.
What so far? I mean, you've produced quite a few projects overall, and I know every project is so different, but what has been the most challenging thing for you that you've experienced as a producer, and how did you overcome that challenge?
The biggest, I mean, in all honesty, the biggest thing for me was financing. And yeah, no one wants to get rid of their money, but they're glad to take it. That's always something that has always got me a little curious about how to navigate that situation. But I think if you really want to do something, no matter how small the financing is or how big or whatever, I think if you really want to go after something, you find ways through your experience or whatever, through other people's guidance of how resourceful you can be and ways to maybe, raise that financing for whatever particular project you have. I think there is a way.
Now, let me ask you this, and I'm sure you're so aware because the crowd sourcing space is so overpopulated, I feel right now, with Kickstarter and Indiegogo, even Spark. They're all fantastic platforms, obviously, but there are so many filmmakers, heading in that direction, which is wonderful. Have you ever done any one of these platforms, or did you go to private investors?
Yeah, I've always gone to private investors, and I have nothing against those platforms. I think they're great opportunities for all kinds of filmmakers and for
Yes.
all kinds of projects. So I definitely wouldn't boo-hoo that at all. But what I would say is that there are so many different paths that you can take as a producer to raise financing. I go to personal investors that I may know or that I've been introduced to. I've taken planes and trains to ask people for money and sent emails, and most of the time, obviously, it's been no, but the small amount of times or the certain amount of times it has been yes, I've turned it into something else and been able to get the films developed. But I do feel that there isn't just that one way. I think sometimes if somebody's going through the front door, I don't mind walking to the back of the alley and seeing what's there either, if you know what I mean. So
Yes, no, absolutely. Okay, you hit on something that I would love to dive a little bit deeper about. So you said you've taken trains, you've taken planes, you've done whatever it took
yeah,
to ask people for financing.
yeah.
When you approach someone, what does that look like? Do you have a folder? Do you have a little clip of the film? Like what do you have?
Well, in most cases, when I've raised money, I never had the financing to do a sizzler reel or whatever, a teaser of the film. So I've always done like a media package so I can simulate an idea of what I'd like, physically and then obviously have my budget and tell my media package, my budget, my breakdown, synopsis, and so forth, character breakdowns and everything, and just the overall story. Because I don't know any investors that actually read script. They look at dots, zeros, numbers, and who's starring in it and how quick am I going to get my money. So if I can make a package that's attractive enough to these investors and make them feel that they're part of something creative and at the same time still understanding that you can trust investing in this particular project, and I've done my job. In most cases, when I do go out and meet people, I've already emailed them a media package, synopsis, and budget and so forth, and I may carry a tangible piece with me, depending on who I'm meeting or how familiar I am with them. But in most cases, I think it's best to be armed up and at least have a good idea of what you're talking about and being able to present yourself in a way where they can't say no, because that is the main thing. They want to trust where they invest in their money, no matter how little it is.
Gosh, so I imagine that must make you feel pretty, that must put you in a wonderful sort of position when you actually do go meet someone face to face, because the fact that you've already emailed them, they already
Mm-hmm.
have your package, your media
Mm-hmm.
information. So obviously if they're meeting with you, they're a little interested.
Yeah, I think I would say that they're interested in most cases I would say that they're interested, but also I think there's a level of curiosity of what they can get for themselves. It's not I wouldn't flatter myself and say they're so interested in this project that it's a business deal, and they're seeing what they can get out of it, as am I. But in most cases, I do feel that when I am approaching someone, I'm not 100% confident like anyone else. I have certain doubts that reservations that I carry with me into a meeting, and I just try to swallow that and go in there and try to be at least confident enough so I can pitch my idea or what have you. But for the most part, yeah, I you got to go in there and be prepared and have all your ducks in a row.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Wow, I'm just thinking, like, for any sort of first time filmmakers that are listening to us and they know, okay, I've got this, or even first time, writers or whoever that just want to create and or produce their own thing and have no clue where to begin, how to
Yeah.
start asking for money. Um, what would you say is the first thing? I heard you mention budget.
Hmm.
How do you start? You've got your script, you want to
Well,
make this. How do you start? And you've never done
well,
this
I
before,
yeah. If you've never done this before, I mean, and first and foremost, there are a million ways that you can go about this. There isn't a protocol to say,
right?
hey, I know what I'm doing wrong if I do something, so I wouldn't dare say if you don't do this, you won't make it. But what I will say is I would try to surround myself with very experienced people. And I think that's the key when you're making a film. And it's not, I think, necessarily about experienced people who just want to work. It's experienced people that are, passionate about your particular project, because that helps. I would then go on, as far as the budget, get an experienced line producer. It's going to cost you, a few bucks to get a budget done, depending on who that person is. You get that budget as tight as you can, and knowing where you want to shoot locations and so forth, and then get yourself, set up a media package if you can do one yourself, or you can get someone to, kind of illustrate a media package for you, and give the investor an idea of what exactly you'd like to do in terms of your creative project. And then once you've packaged your synopsis and everything up, you can go out to, there could be somebody in your neighborhood that owns a store, or, someone that owns a small business that you may be able to get small investments from, or, just meeting through people through certain social, environments that you can kind of, do business deals with. I don't think there's a protocol. I just think when you do meet these people, you should be prepared at least to have all your ducks in a row and have your business, at its very best, so they don't give you a reason to turn you down. You know.
Okay, so for someone that's never produced before, what I heard you say, step number one for you and your experience so far is to find a line producer, because a
Correct.
line producer will be able to go through your script and create a budget for you, because you can't go anywhere without a budget. We got to know how much money we need.
They want to know where all the money is being allocated. If you go to an investor looks at your budget. The investor doesn't care necessarily about the movie per se, but if he's making an investment, he's looking at the numbers. So he wants to know where every single penny is going. All the dots and zeros have to be lined up. He wants to know where his money's going and how soon or how much he could get on his return. So you have to have your budget completely tight. I mean, there can't be a mistake in the numbers. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So you've got to have your numbers tight. And I think that's your responsibility as a producer, and it's respect that you're showing an investor that you're not sloppy with the numbers when you go in there with an extremely tight project. It's okay, all right, I won't like this particular business deal or whatever, but maybe next time you can go to that same person and they say, oh, you know what? Let me give you $20,000, or let me give you $10,000 because the first time you came, you approached me, you approached me correctly, and I like the way you can conduct yourself, or I like the way you do your business, and I think that's very important. Your first impression is extremely important, so the numbers have to be tight because people want their money, you know.
That's so true, and a very poignant thing that I want to point out what you just said. First impressions are everything, and
Absolutely.
you're so right in that. If someone doesn't end up working with you the first time,
Hmm.
as long as you make that first impression count,
Hmm.
maybe down the line the next time or the next time.
Hmm.
Okay, so just so I can rewind a bit. Number one, get a line producer because you've got to have your numbers right. You've got to get your budget right.
Hmm.
Number two, package. You've got to get your synopsis in there,
Hmm.
your what
Media
else?
package,
Media package.
character breakdowns, everything. And it's not necessarily, true that everybody's going to read your stuff, but, you may run into someone that actually wants to read everything, and it better be right. I think presentation is everything. And if it's not presented correctly, they have every reason to turn you away.
Ooh, presentation is everything. Love that. Love that. We're gonna switch gears a little bit. Out of right now, right now, what would you say is the project that you are most excited about right now today?
The project that I'm most excited about is Hustling Backwards because I wrote it and I had I did done this film Blue a few years ago with Keith David that I worked with, and he was just an amazing guy. And after we did that project, a few years later I wrote Hustling Backwards. I played with Hustling Backwards for a few years, and I wrote it for him because the lead. Keith leaves an impression on you that
Mm,
can never be forgotten. His soul somewhat just resonates with whomever you are. You just love him. He's that kind of person. And I wrote this character, and I I asked Keith to read it, and he fell in love with it. And we've been trying to get it done for years, and now it looks like we're finally getting some legs underneath it. And myself, Tasha Smith, um,
ooh,
yeah, my wife
love her.
Skylar, Henry Sanders. Tasha's fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah,
awesome.
we actually just worked on a movie a month ago in a TV One movie in Atlanta called Hit a Licks, which was her directorial debut, and it should be out in
I
May.
heard about
Yeah,
that. Yes, yes,
yeah,
yes. Oh, that's fantastic.
yeah. She was amazing.
Love women
Yeah,
directors. Woohoo.
yeah. Women directors, all about it, all day. Yeah, so that is the thing that I'm more passionate about, and it's more of a I guess not a necessarily a true story, but a personal story. I would say that touches me deeply, and I think Keith, the combination of Keith and Tasha in the cast, and also Dave Dedman is going to be a part of it from 13 Hours. It's going to be a really neat script, a really neat film. So I'm excited about that right now.
How
That's
long
the main one.
how long did it take you to write this film?
Honestly, about a year. Took me about a year because I had written the first draft in probably like 5 months, and I wasn't necessarily happy with that draft, and I played with several ideas for the next few months, and after about a year, I really had what I thought was a script that could stand on its own and wasn't a generic stereotype of any other film. And that, I like gritty, passionate stories, passion filled stories. But I thought that I thought I did enough justice to this where it can stand on its own now, and we can take that puppy out. So I feel good about it.
Let me ask you this about your writing process, if you don't mind. Because you knew that you were writing this script for Keith,
Mm-hmm.
did that make the process a little easier for you, harder for you? What was that like?
and I know it's totally against protocol. You don't write with an idea of anybody in mind or what have you. It's like,
Please.
yeah,
Yeah.
people say that. But for me, honestly, the idea was there, and I just honestly just I to this day when I read it, I hear Keith's voice. Period. That's it. And I've been approached by different people, or and I've been given different ideas, like, hey, maybe this person or that actor, and I just hear Keith's voice, and that was the driving force behind the script actually getting done because it was his unique voice, his unique energy that kind of sort of my muse, I guess, for this particular project. But it drove me, and I was really happy with the end result, and everyone involved is pretty satisfied with it. So I'm happy, you
Oh,
know.
wow. That's really exciting. So it sounds like you have the majority of your cast attached.
Yeah, a big part. I have a few people that I'd like to kind of attach, but that's a whole nother page. But I'll get them.
You'll get them. You'll get there. Okay, now if you don't mind, let me rewind a bit to your film Blue. I saw this film. Was it in a theater? I think it was on Wilshire Boulevard where you
Yeah,
had your.
we did the first screening on Wilshire, and then that was the very first screen, the very first edit, and then what I did was I really wanted to get a feel of what everyone liked about the film and get some good feedback from people that I trusted and the late Sean Whitesell, who was a writer producer who passed away earlier this year.
Oh,
He was there and he was a good friend of mine, and Sean was such a phenomenal writer and producer. Sean, I always trusted his opinion, and I talked to him about him after that screening that night, and he gave me some very smart notes. So I went back and re-edited the film,
wow.
and we changed the ending, and then I submitted it to the festivals. We ended up winning the audience award at the American Black Film Festival. We won the Hollywood Black Film Festival. We were in Chicago. We got honorable mention at the Urban World Film Festival, and a few other ones I forgot.
And
Um,
this is your first feature film.
that's my first feature, and we actually won the Paul Robeson Award at the Newark Film Festival.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
yeah, it was really cool. It was a fun deal.
This is just so inspiring to me because not only, clearly this film has won all of these awards, you wrote the screenplay, you
Yeah.
produced it, and
Yes.
you starred in it.
Yes. Yes. It was scary, but I did it. You first film your producer, you're like, do I trust myself with this thing? But it was and here's the thing. I mean, and I can't take. We had Ryan Minningham and Jamie Minningham, who are my producing partners. Ryan directed the film, and they really. Jamie at the time worked at New Line, and Ryan was ADing and production management and stuff like that. And this was his second feature, but his first real big feature that he was going to try to challenge. And they gave me so much guidance and so much help, and I think that was the thing that made the process easier. So I didn't come off as green as I actually was, because I had some really, honestly, some smart people around me and some really good actors that I'd worked with in the past who I love, and I just asked them if they wanted to do my movie, and they read it. And they were like, "Yeah, man, sure, let's do it." Charles Malik Whitfield, of course, my baby Diabadia. I had Sammy Rotubi, Keith David, and it was just all these people just kind of came together. And I mean, literally, we didn't have a lot of money. We were shooting downtown. We shot in New York, and I remember Charles Malik Whitfield. I'll never forget this. We did a scene. We were shooting a night scene, and everybody was tired, and the crew wanted to leave, and Ryan wanted to do just one more shot. And Charles Malik Whitfield picked up a light stand, and carried it on his shoulder. He's like, "Let's walk to the next location," and he did it, and
What?
and we got the film done. Yeah, we'll get
Hi,
in a minute, buddy.
Jaden.
Say hi. Say
Hi,
hi.
Jaden.
We'll be back in a minute, okay, buddy? Okay, I get you, but hold on. I get
Gosh,
um
growing so much. Look at you.
yeah.
Hi, Leela. Sorry.
Get him.
Hi, Leela. For those of you listening, this is one of Don's twins that just came in the room to say hello. Then also his beautiful daughter.
All gonna they're all gonna come in and take me out in a second.
Uh,
Yeah, but and that was the kind of a camaraderie that was on that production at that time, and I wish I could have people like that on every film that I've done. But I can say I have been fortunate to meet some really wonderful people who are like-minded and passionate about acting and about the work of what we do. And I've been fortunate. I've been lucky, because I haven't had too many bad experiences in that department. So
That's fantastic. And again, just to reiterate what you're saying, what I heard you say again is that you were able on your first feature to surround yourself with people that had maybe produced one more project than you. You surrounded yourself with people that knew a little bit more than you.
yeah,
Obviously, this
yeah,
being your first feature, there's so much you don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Yeah,
so I'm gaining, and again, just for our listeners, the importance of surrounding yourself with people that have at least completed one more project than you have. Really important.
right, right.
Really important.
That's hugely important. Experience is everything, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 110%. That's the only way I've been able to do my little projects as well.
Yeah,
So I get
yeah,
it. I get it.
yeah,
Now let me ask you about this. And again, I'm going back to Blue. So you shoot your first feature, you write it, you have all these wonderful people around you, you have a screening, you get some wonderful feedback, you change the
right.
ending. So now what? How do you get this film out into the world? You've done the film festival circuit, then what?
Well, here's the thing for me. We had while we were shooting, we had a few people interested in the film from studios. We had Showtime, we had Stars interested, and so we held on to their information and whatever, and we kept going. And then once we finished the festival circuit, what I did was I set up a distribution screening in a
Ooh,
small screening room in Beverly Hills. And we figured if we could try to get as many people as possible, studio, I don't care what studio they were from, what production company, just try to get as many people as possible in this 100-seat theater or 75-seat theater, I think it was. It was a small theater, but it was a really nice screening room in Beverly Hills. I can't remember the name of it. I figured if we can get as many people as possible, influential people that are interested in acquiring a film or just curious about our film, and you offer a couple of, hors d'oeuvres or what have you,
cocktails.
and yeah, whatever we could do. And we did that, and those same people from Showtime and Stars ended up coming, and they loved it and wanted to purchase the film, and they Stars and Showtime purchased it at the same time, and we had a 2-year run on Stars, Showtime, and Netflix. So
Wow.
you have it. Yeah,
How did you know to do that? How did you know to have a distribution screening? That was so smart.
I had smart people around me,
Ah,
and those people had no egos. They wanted the same thing I wanted. They wanted to see a really good film get made and get sold, and obviously had my best interest at heart. And they basically held me by the hand and said, Don, what do you think about doing this? And I said, it sounds logically like a good idea to me. So I was just trying to generate as many contacts as I could so I could invite them. And again, the producing hat for me is like throwing a party. So everything I need for that party, I try to get in the room. And that was it.
All right, so let me ask you this. I know I'm getting down to the real
Oh,
nitty
it's fine.
gritty, but people that are listening, that are just finishing their films or about to, I'm one of these people as well. So you're going to have a distribution screening. Do you just email the head of Showtime or different distributors? Do you just send them an invitation? Is it that
You,
simple, or is it?
No, I mean nothing simple, especially in show business. You know that
Mm-hmm.
just getting
Mm-hmm.
in contact with people is the toughest part of it for sure. But I try to find the acquisitions department in whatever production company. I didn't care what it was, and get in touch with that point person in acquisitions and see if they'd be willing to come down to the screening and have some nice drinks afterwards and chit chat and just I think the good thing for us was that one the Showtime and Stars had already seen the film in the festival, so they were interested or parts of it at least. And I think two that we had had enough awards under our belt at that particular time in terms of because we went to the Chicago Film Festival, we were in a few other film festivals and got invited to some others. So it was we had enough festivals under our belt where it may have piqued some curiosity, but I think stuff like that doesn't hurt. It's something that attracts people or makes people somewhat curious to see your project.
It gives you some leverage, you know?
Yeah, a bit
I
for sure.
we won at this festival and we got this award here. Come check it out. That does make it sound very
Yeah.
yeah.
Course. It's going to be a little appeal. It's going to be appealing, especially if it's a feature film, because immediately acquisitions is thinking, okay, maybe this is something that we could buy or purchase or whatever. So,
Okay. This is so great. This is so wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm going to switch gears again. And
mhm,
this is just a question I like to ask folks just for
sure.
fun. Do you, Don Wallace, believe that you were put on this planet at this specific time in history for a particular reason, or do you think it's just random? Just curious.
I don't think anything's random. I think everything happens for whatever reason to teach us whatever lessons or for us to get whatever life lessons we need throughout this journey because when this dance is over, it's over. So I don't think it's just some random uh, thing. I think we do what we do because we were born to do that. So you know,
Ah, yes, yes.
yeah,
What type, with that sort of question in mind, and we just saw two of your kids.
yeah.
For your kids, for the world, what kind of legacy would you like to be leave behind? What would you like your sort of body of work to say about you?
Well, personally, I just want to be, I hope I leave a positive mark just as a decent person and, somebody that was full of love. I mean, I would hope that is what people or my friends or acquaintances would think. I don't know what else you can ask for when you've been given an opportunity to breathe this air and live this life and experience the experiences that we've been fortunate enough to have because there are a lot of people who their lives were short lived and they would never reach whatever pinnacle or place that we're at now or where we could be going. So I just feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to live out my dream, so to speak, and have my family that I love and be able to do what I love to do. What more can you ask for if you've had that? Whatever they say about you when you're gone, it's like, I'm hoping it's nice.
Ah,
you know,
I'm just curious with all the sort of chaos that has been happening in this last year, this last couple of years, as a black filmmaker, as an African American man in the arts, do you feel any sort of how do you interpret all this, if you do at all, and with the work that you make? Because there are so many times we hear, well, I haven't had this opportunity. I mean, you have such a positive outlook on life. And again, being a black filmmaker, how do you attain this sort of positivity
I think
with all this
here's the
chaos
thing.
that's happening, you know?
Yeah, I think here's the thing for me, right? I think that obviously, my political standpoint, I'm very liberal, and I'm totally against where we are right now as a country. But I think all that this does is give me fuel to make uh, more passionate projects, to deliver stronger messages, and to spread love. It really just it's almost empowering, as bad and as unstable as it is. I want to just you know have a voice that spreads some sort of love and understanding, because you look at what's going on in places like Aleppo and in the Middle East. I mean, it's right now it's kind of gravy for us, right? When we look at our problems, it's like, okay, we got some guy that clowns around, calls himself a president elect right now. I mean, but you see people walking out of rubble, or some newborn child, you know not having the first year of life. It really makes you think about what is that serious, and what we need to pay attention to. So yeah, we all have our problems and our crosses to bear, but I mean, there's always bigger hurdles to cross out there, and there are people with real problems. And I don't consider, necessarily what I'm going through to be as big a problem as what a lot of other people in the world are dealing with. So I think mine is doable. You know.
Don, I just want to take a moment to thank you and to acknowledge you for having this spirit of light that you have. You are
Thank
such a
you.
light. You are such a light, and I cannot
Thank
tell you how important that is in our world right now, in our industry right
you.
now. So I just want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank
It,
you very much. I appreciate it.
yes, of course, and I also want to acknowledge you for just having this sort of guts and just the balls, if you will, to do what you have
Yes.
done in producing these feature films, to be able to just, reach out to folks and say, hey, come to my screening. Hey, come check
Yeah.
this out. Like, you just really went for it. And I acknowledge you for that. And I just want to thank you again for just being such a light
That's
and for
great.
showing us what is
Right.
possible.
Thank you.
Ah,
Thank you very much.
all right, so before we wrap up here, I want to know if there's a book that you would recommend that has helped you either as a human being, an artist, a filmmaker. If there's a number one book that you can say, you know what, y'all need to read this.
Oh, a book on acting, or filmmaking, or just a book in general.
Anything, whatever pops into your mind that you think will really help people that has helped you.
There are two books that I guess I read every year at least once for the
At
last
least once a year.
20 years. The same books. I
Wow.
read Prophet by Khalil Gibran, and The
Wow.
Greatest Salesman in the World
Og
by Og Mandino.
Mandingo. Yes.
Just I always read that book.
I love it. I love it. The
I just
Prophet and the Greatest Salesman in the World.
Yeah.
I will make
I
sure to put
appreciate
links to those in the show notes. I've got to tell you, The Greatest Salesman in the World, I have not read that in over 15 years. I am reading that book
it.
this year.
I read it like every year just to give me some inspiration. It's like it's a simple story, but I love it. Go figure. It's not something that's. I think it's prolific in itself, if you will. But it's always been one of those books, probably for the last 20 years, that I've picked up and read at least once a year. It's like going to the gym for my mind, maybe. I don't know.
For your mind, for your soul, for your spirit.
I love that book. So I'm always.
Okay, I love it. Last question. In your opinion, what is the number one tip that you have for either first time actors, first time producers, writers? The number one tip.
Believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. I don't think that there is any successful actor, writer, producer, whomever that does not believe in themselves. You have to believe in yourself. It's too far too challenging a business. It's far too challenging an art for you not to believe in yourself. And I think everyone deserves that opportunity. They should give that opportunity to themselves. You have to believe in yourself. I don't care how good or bad people think you are. Believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself. Love that. Love that. If people want to know more about your projects, Don, want to know where to follow you, how can people find out about you and keep up with all your films that you've got going on right now?
I am on Instagram. I am Don Wallace on Instagram. I am Don Wallace. On Don Wallace on Facebook. I am on Don Wallace 10 on Twitter. So
All right, Don Wallace. Thank you so much
you,
for your
thank you,
time today. Indie
thank
Film
you,
Tribe, thank you so much for hanging out with Don and I today. I hope you got a lot out of this. I know I definitely have. Thank you so
you too.
much.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks a lot.